Coming to you live from Studio B, this is Right Along Breaking News. Well, it's on Right Along, so it's happening here.
Came over here. What does it mean? You know, I grew up in what I guess we call a typical family.
We break all the stories, and that's just a fact. And that's why everyone has a story to tell.
Right Along Live, yeah, it's the real deal.
Welcome to Right Along Live. Yes. As you guys go ahead and share up the program. This is Right Along Live for today. It's Wednesday. Very interesting day. Very interesting program lineup for you. Jennifer Myers, how you doing? Pick up yourself. Thank you for chiming in today. Who's first on the ride? Let's see. Let's scroll back. Yes. Lydia James. Pick up yourself, Lydia. Welcome to Ride Along, everybody. Today, guys, is a continuation or follow-up on the program from yesterday. Now, in case you guys did not know or were not following up from what has been happening, let me bring everybody up to speed. Now on Sunday, you go down 1, 2, 3. Let me go down and get you guys the information as was posted, so I don't get no inaccurate information. Here we go. Police reported and confirmed of a boating accident that occurred sometime around 7 p.m. on Sunday, the 24th of April, 2022, while officers attached to the Grenada Coast Guard were returning to base from operating when it collided with a small vessel from Granance. One of the occupants of the fishing vessel sustained minor injuries, while the body of a second occupant was recovered yesterday morning by divers attached to the Grenada Coast Guard. The Commissioner of Police sends out and extends his condolences to the family and the parents of the deceased. So this has been a very, very topical issue because there are two sides of this story. The police is alleging that one thing happened, and then the eyewitness is alleging something else. So we decided to dig a little deeper. Yesterday, we heard the side of the lone eyewitness who was there, who saw the whole thing, and we even heard from the deceased father, Mr. George. He was on the program yesterday. So today, we got a chance to speak to the RGPF, member from the RGPF, more on that later. But what I want to do right now is bring in the lawyer representing the family, Mr. Anslem Clouden. We try very, very hard to get Mr. Anslem Clouden on video, but we was unable to, but we have him on the phone line. Mr. Anslem Clouden, sir, welcome to Ride Along Live. How are you doing, sir? Okay, Mr. Anslem Clouden, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of information that we have to ask, that we have to try to understand. What is your understanding from your client, what happened on that day? From the survivor, sorry, yes. Yes. Hold on.
The police.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
The police. Yes. So that he said that they were there. They had a little difficulty with the engine. They had come from Hog Island, where they were having a relatively nice time, family and friends. There's a usual Sunday evening or Sunday activity on Hog Island.
Right.
I have attended it myself, and you find a lot of people from the south with vessels, fishing and otherwise, congregate there for an enjoyment on the beach. So they came from there, and they had a breakdown in the engine, and they decided to come into the harbor, into Granite. So I'm advised, of course. They came into Granite, and while proceeding up after they were able to get the engine restarted, they saw the Coast Guard, and they saw one of the pleasure boats that Maston operates. I think it was that boat that carries people on Sunday cruises and the like.
Yes.
American P, how you call it again? Anyhow. So they were there on the boat, and there were little vessels, around the boat, because I was on the beach and saw the activity earlier. Not that one in particular, but there were a lot of boats up and down, and everybody is having a relatively good time.
Right.
And the gentleman claimed that while they were coming into the Granite area to move up along the beach, they saw the Coast Guard spun around and apparently started coming to them, but with no lights on.
Uh-huh.
And coming to them at full speed. And he said, the survivor,
yes,
Ronnie said he took out his cell phone and put his light on and started waving. Now in the dark, because by then it was relatively dark. It was, dusk, and it was after 6, and it was dark.
Right.
So, but the Coast Guard had no lights on. And it just came on them. He, as he claimed, threw himself off and survived with minor injuries. But the Coast Guard hit the boat perpendicular, like a T,
right,
and cut through it. And of course, Kimroy got killed. Mr. Bell got killed as a consequence. But it is what occurred after that is most distressing. And it tells you what happens when you have a total breakdown of law and order. And you have a police force that operates on a variegated pattern of anarchy, with politicians really running the force. So people do what they want. Mm-hmm. There are certain basic rules of navigation. Because the Coast Guard is, for all practical purposes, they're there really on search and rescue. They're not battleships.
Right.
They're basically for search and rescue. But observe, because of the paramilitary position, they must observe certain international navigational aids to traverse the seas. Now, if you on a secret maneuver, you may put your lights on and off at a time, maybe. But in this instance, there was no maneuver at all. They just saw a little boat down here, and for whatever reason, on a frolic of their own, because there could have been no reports or anything, because these guys are former presentation boys, college students. These guys have no criminal records. They just enjoying themselves, and came onto them with such velocity, and what they have done, why they did it, in total darkness and no lights, and that was in violation of all international regulations with respect to the operation of vessels in the first instance, and then it gets a bit more crucial when you get to military vessels traversing the territorial sea of their own country and the bays. They must be properly littered. There's a sort of big, it's like let me tell you, man, it's like an ambulance. When an ambulance gets to a stop sign, if it wants to proceed with priority, it puts on its lights and it gives a siren. The same applies to navigation at sea, especially when you're in a military, you're in a military or paramilitary vessel. There's certain rules that you must follow, and they hadn't followed it. So they have been reckless endangerment, because both occupants of the boat got injured. And I've asked the government, I've received a communique today from ASP Glenn Charles. He wants to meet with Vanny, the survivor, tomorrow, and we're going to cooperate and give them all the statements. But we expect them to act with alacrity. We need to know who's going to take charge of the funeral, the autopsy, and the like.
Yes.
There are a lot of eyewitnesses who saw it happen. So they have been reckless. They have not observed the navigational requirement for navigating into internal waters, because this is a bay. So that, and they are our Coast Guard. It's not a foreign Coast Guard. So any vessel you see, you put your lights on, you put your things on, and you blink at them, and if you're going after them. So I don't think this was an accident. This was just an accident. Far from it. They came directly at that boat, whatever reason. They've been negligent in the operation of it, and the consequence we now face. That's all I can intelligently.
Do you have, based on your investigation, and we'll play back our interview a little bit later that I did with the Royal Grenada Police Force, do you have any evidence to dispute their claim that it might, well, not their claim, but the assertion that it might be instrument failure or human error? Did your investigation?
Well, it is. If it's instrument failure, that's a matter for them. Because they're supposed to have, remember, their basic function as a Coast Guard. They're not a battleship. They're not a man of war. Their basic function is search and rescue. And interdict any foreign boat or your own boat you think is acting in a manner inconsistent with the peace, order, and good governance of the state.
Right.
You get drug trafficking and what have you, and you can properly interdict them, but there's a procedure.
Yes.
There's a procedure for interdiction. You can't just run into them, no lights and all this nonsense, and then claim it's whatever they claim, whatever their position is, they must do the proper thing. And they haven't done the proper thing yet. The Prime Minister came on a TV last night professing to extol all the virtues he has done for the past 25 years. I haven't heard him at one moment in silence or extend the state condolences for the death of Cameron Bell. Not a word. And this is folks who claim they care. What is the matter for the people? I'm not into that. I'm just saying that, look, they must do the proper thing. I heard one police officer say they're praying for the family. Well, look, man, you have to start talking about funeral expenses, the father, meet with the father, meet with the attorney, and you're still investigating what? What all this investigating for? There are people on land that saw what had happened.
Yes.
They have been reckless, they have been negligent, and they have recklessly endangered the life of the citizen. And they can have no excuse for that, but to do the proper thing.
Right.
Yes.
I want to play back a quick video clip. This was from the family and the lone eyewitness. Just check out this clip. This clip is from MTV. Mr. Clouden, you'll be able to hear it on your line. Listen in.
I have no doubt.
Yeah. All right. Let's play back that clip right now.
Speaking to MTV News,
Hold on.
Bell's body was
Yeah,
recovered
that is a
from
great
the waters
point.
of
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna play back that on your line right now. Stand by, guys. We're gonna play back this clip that was broadcast on MTV News. Check it out.
Randans area by divers attached to the Grenada Coast Guard and taken to the Coast Guard headquarters in True Blue on Monday, where his body was identified by his family. His father says he does not believe it was an accident that claimed the life of his son, and he is calling for justice.
Because after the boat hit, and the guy claimed that look at Kim and Bell in the water. Why the police on the coast guard didn't jump overboard and get my son? Why? They'll wait until the next morning, before they could recover my son. I need justice, and I need it fast.
The other occupant on the vessel was 24-year-old Vondi Joseph, who escaped with minor injuries.
Now, me and Kim and Bell went on the island, Hog Island, about Sunday around after 4. So we left the island and coming on, we wait to coming home. We end up breaking down. So the same time I tell them all, let me call and get rescue. Come and tell me, nah, I know the problem. I'm going to fix the problem for you. Don't worry, we will get you. At the same time, now, come on, end up fixing the problem in the engine now. And then we start to run up on the airport. Running, going up to Granite's Beach.
Joseph says he signaled his phone light to get the Coast Guard's attention. However, the vessel continued to approach.
The men just end up running into us and just kill Bell. Bell. When I raise up my head from in the water, I see Bell floating. I said to tell the men, they kill my brother boy. And that man, when he studied to make calls to call some Sarge, I turn around and tell the man, boy, bleeding out in the water, boy, come and take me into the water. The man me in the water, they floating on the boat, holding on.
The family's attorney, Anslem Clouden, is calling for a full investigation and is appealing to members of the RGPF to meet with the families.
Yes. So, Mr. Clouden, do you think that these young men were somehow targeted by the RGPF Coast Guard?
Well, God in heaven knows. I cannot speak to that because I don't want to prejudice anything. It may very well be. But let me say, what is most egregious and distressing, and I mean, look, man, it's infra-dig, it's below human dignity that here is a collision at sea. Here is a survivor crying for assistance and aid and for rescue. He gets into your boat and you pull your gun at him and you crank it. I mean, and he tells you that there's another, his brother is in the ocean there. And you tell him to sit there and say nothing. So it may very well be that they had whatever they have, but they have found nothing illegal and nothing that is prejudicial to the peace, order, and good governance of state. So if they had anything, it must have been speculative, and they're on a wild goose chase. You see?
Mm-hmm.
This is. I mean, look, man, you haven't seen the end of this. You know, I'll take it apart with God's grace, gradually, incrementally, man. Yeah, you mandated to search and rescue. There is a collision at sea. You find men in the water. One man's telling you that, look, his brother is in the water, his friend is in the water, and you didn't even throw yourself over. Well, the father put it the best way. You haven't even search and rescue. You know, that's the mandate of these paramilitary coast guards. They interdict, but they go within the contiguous zone. You don't find them in the high seas. But be that as it may, man, you didn't even attempt to rescue the boy who was there. He may have lived. His mother said when she saw him the next day, he was still bleeding. The blood was, the rigor mortis hadn't even stepped in. Look, man, this Mitchell administration, this police, everything, this is not the first, and there's a level of lawlessness in the country. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying, man? There's a level of lawlessness and do your own thing. Every man is a law unto himself. The rule of law, we don't even have courthouses, man. Huh? The High Court sits in the Trade Center. It's deplorable, disgraceful, and everything. So let's see what they're gonna do. Glenn, Assistant Superintendent Glenn Charles called me this afternoon. He said he wanted to get a statement from Vanny. Sure, come tomorrow in my office. Yes. First of all, he wanted Vanny to come down to the police station. I said, no, he's not a suspect. He's not under any interrogation. If you want to complete your file with respect to what has happened, he's the only eyewitness who has been injured and who was on the boat with his friend. So he would give a statement to you, and that is about it.
Yeah.
And he give a statement to you in my presence. But he had already given the statement to the nation.
Yes.
Yesterday. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Clouden, the New Today posted an article, right, where they quoted a police inside source in saying that asking the question, why are these two people should be in the boat there at that time? And they went on to say the names, the location, and address is consistent with something that not smelling good. What you have to say about that? And that was quoted. That was said to be quoted from a police source. Yes.
That's a distraction. That's a wicked distraction. They do it in courts all the time when they're in problems. These guys were from Hog Island. They were in the boat. They had a breakdown. They came into the bay right here. There are people on the land that saw what happened, you know. Tomorrow afternoon, I told Officer Glenn Charles I have other eyewitnesses to what has happened. And I haven't even spoken to them yet. They're coming to see me tomorrow. Because it was so close to the shore.
Yes.
They were not any drug interdiction and they don't find no drugs. These boys have no criminal records. These are boys with a little boat. They go fishing. There's no employment for them. The unemployment level in Grenada is about 35% among youths. They have all kind of phony, traffic warden walking around every morning doing nothing. I don't know, man. Look. I just hope and pray for my grandchildren's sake.
Yes.
Because the way the world is going now, you better hold on to where you are. And 45 your bailiwick. You see what's happening in Ukraine. And the people say the invaders would never, ever survive to take the country. So we should start thinking of how we're protecting this country. Because these politicians have done it a great injustice.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Again, guys, we have Mr. Anslem Clouden, the lawyer on this case here. Mr. Clouden, I had an interview earlier with a member of the RGPF, right? And it's kind of lengthy, but I want to play it back. And I want you to give me your reaction on it. In fact, any point in time you want to come in on a particular point, just let me know. I'm going to play it back and we're going to listen to it and you could interject at any point. This is the exclusive interview I had earlier, just a few moments ago with the RGPF. Take a listen.
Good.
Add further clarification on the accident. The incident happened there with the Coast Guard and the small vessel is ASP Desmond Richard. ASP, welcome to Ride Along Live, and thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule to help us recreate the scenario and the situation here with us. Thanks again for joining us.
Good evening, Julian, and good evening to all the listeners.
Help us recreate this situation, this scenario. What happened?
So, as the information that I received on Sunday night, just sometime after 7 p.m., the Coast Guard, Grenada Coast Guard, was returning from an operation. In fact, they were going back to their base when they collided with a small fishing vessel in the Granans area. The vessel had 2 young men on board. One was rescued the night and taken to the hospital for medical check and was released. The other was not found the night. He was recovered. The body was recovered on Monday, taken to the Coast Guard base, where it was examined by a medical doctor and pronounced dead. The small vessel that the Coast Guard ran into was also pulled out of the sea and taken to the Coast Guard base for investigation purposes. The vessel that the men of the Coast Guard was using at night is also docked as part of the vessel that will be involved in the investigation as well. A postmortem was ordered as well by the doctor, and we are waiting that now. And meanwhile, the investigators are now gathering and mashing all the bits of information they can to put the pieces together as to ascertain what actually happened that night and why.
Right. With a fleet of vessels, again, the Coast Guard the role of the Coast Guard is for coastal defense and maritime law enforcement. And with a fleet of what I'm seeing, I don't know if the fleet has been upgraded, but we see a fleet of Dauntless class, the Grenadian Patriot boat. We have the Boston Whaler series and Defender class Patriot boat. I don't know if there's addition to it, but those are very sophisticated vessels with very sophisticated equipment on there. I guess the question is, how could a boat like this, a Coast Guard vessel like this, with such sophistication, cannot or did not pick up a vessel that was so closely in front of it?
It's a very good question, and it's a relevant question too. But that, Junior, I can answer. I really don't know. That I guess the investigation will uncover that particular answer. As I said, the only person that can answer that is the man that was on the Coast Guard that evening. And that aspect is left up to the investigators to find out and determine.
All right, Mr. Clouden, you heard his response there. What's your take?
Yeah.
What's your take on what he said?
My take is they were so negligent, so reckless that they may not have even been concentrating on the radar. Because the point is, well, all these military, paramilitary ships, they carry sophisticated. Because remember, the Coast Guard, they search and rescue, they have the identification, this, that, the other, the light and everything. And then you have the GPS now, you have the radar on the area. Man, God in heaven knows what these guys were doing. But what the witness said is, the Coast Guard was following. I'm hearing them saying they were returning to base. They may have been returning to base from wherever they come from, and I would love to see the log. Because they were seen around the party ship, the Rum Runner. The name comes to mind. The Rum Runner, and they were alongside the Rum Runner.
Mm-hmm.
And the eyewitness said where he was in his little boat close to shore. This happened right on the shore, So it wasn't a mile out or half a mile out or so much further, what have you. It was almost on the shore. The people who stayed on the land and saw what took place. Mm-hmm. So the Coast Guard spun around from the pleasure ship and started heading towards them. So when they saw what was happening, the Vanny put his cell phone light on and was waving his light, and the Coast Guard kept coming. Now, come on, man. God knows what their purpose was. Certainly, they were not observing the rules, navigational rules laid down for Operation of classes of vessels like themselves.
Right.
And I'm doing some research now. And so whatever he's saying, he can answer because he knows did they have the radar on? No, the police is investigating the police. You hear them talking investigation. They should have had an independent ask the Trinidad Coast Guard to come up and do the investigation. Or the Vincentian Coast Guard officers, not the police here investigating themselves.
Yeah, that is something that we touched on. That is something that we touched on in a lot of part of the interview. Let's go further into the interview with the RGPF. Listening. Well, let me try this. Is the vessel equipped with navigation and radar sensors?
All right. I am not sure if they have radar sensors, but I know they have some navigation equipment. I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not au fait with the vessel too much, as that I'm not even a seaman.
Okay.
But I do know there are some equipment on it, and it's a smaller boat, so you don't have the big, like when we had Terrell Bay, that had all the equipment, a radar, navigation system, just name it. We don't have that again. We have a smaller vessel, 40-foot vessel, that we use. I think it's 40-foot that we use just mainly for patrolling and border control and whatever at this time. So it's not as equipped as the Terrell Bay, but yes, there are some equipment there.
Just 1 second.
All right. You wanted to interject here?
Right. Yeah. Yes, please. But let me tell you, they have these boats that now operate. Forget about the Terrell Bay. Terrell Bay is history. These boats that now operate. The Americans gave them the most sophisticated navigational equipment. Most sophisticated. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Because big publication when the handing over took place and everything. Really sophisticated. So there is no pretending that they aren't properly equipped for doing border patrol, coastal surveillance, search and rescue. Okay? Bring up there for the yeah. So don't worry, this whole talk. I happen to know that myself.
Right. Let's go further because there was a lot more said listening. But you would agree that basic vessels, whether it's the basic of basic, should be equipped with at least a radar system.
Of course.
Right. Was it defective or was it human error?
I don't know. I actually don't know. As I said, that again is left up to the investigators to determine. Let me say this, Junior. It's a very, very unfortunate, tragic incident, and those pieces of the puzzle is what we are trying to determine at this point. It's not something that has happened before. I know the Coast Guard has been, at least for the most part, be very responsible. I've been assisting not just the locals, but even it's within the region. And for this to happen, it's strange. There's a lot of questions. And here's where the investigators will determine what actually happened. The process may not be as quick as persons wanted, and we have to understand why, because a lot of pieces have to put together. We are also asking persons if there was somebody maybe in a boat or on the beach somewhere that may have seen or heard anything to even come forward to help us clarify, help investors clarify what actually happened that night, so we can bring this to a close and in the best way possible.
Okay, so and that's fair. So we understand that, okay, it may or may not be the radar system may or may not have been engaged at the time. But what about lights? What about the ability to spot anything on the sea with just basic visibility? The person that's navigating to see what's ahead of them. Is that something that is associated, or is that something that is on this vessel that could be engaged? Just lights, to just light up the area.
Well, I know the Coast Guard have lights, they have bright lights. I don't know if that particular vessel had the light, but I know there are vessels that have very bright lights in it.
Right. So to not engage or see something in front of you would mean that the lights would have to be disengaged and the radar would have to be disengaged. Would there be any reason why a sophisticated vessel like the Coast Guard would have its radar system and light disengaged when patrolling?
Again, that would be a question for the Coast Guard. Those are the experts, those are the one on board, those that do not know what they engage, when they engage it, and why. So that would be a question for them.
All right, Mr. Clouden, you want to come in here?
Well, what is saying is absolute nonsense, with the utmost respect to the gentleman. Because if he's part of the RGPF and they rotate from place to place, he ought to know what basic requirements are. I don't know if he has ever been assigned to a Coast Guard activity, but even people train for Coast Guard, they put them in all other stations and all kinds of nonsense. So sometimes you have very unqualified people on the Coast Guard and who get promotion. Look, man, this whole thing is so corrupt. It's just surfacing. What has happened? And you hear the officer can't answer questions. It's a matter for the Coast Guard and all this nonsense. Look, man, there's certain procedure internationally. Grenada is a party to these international conventions and IMO. I was ambassador to the IMO as a maritime man myself. So I know of these regulations. I read them up. When Ambrose was there on the port, I used to write to him and ask him to send me these regulations, updated regulations with respect to the responsibilities of coastal state. And then you had all this thing with drug interdiction and all this sort of thing, and the regulations with respect to separation schemes and traversing the territorial sea of other states, and a host of maritime regulations. And when it comes to Coast Guard, those regulations are specific. They must have the lights on. As I say, unless they're on a secret operation and they're cleared up that there's no things in the area and it's a targeted operation or a targeted maneuver. But my goodness, people saw them, spin around, take all the lights off, so there were lights on. Because when they were next to the pleasure boat, the rum runner, they had a light on. They spun around and took the lights on and just headed full speed. The officer said they were returning to base. Well, look, I happen to have some. I do say that I have my boat of that. Where the accident happened, they couldn't be returning to base.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't parallel. It was perpendicular.
Right.
So it was more into coast. So all that is sort of nonsense. We meet in the courthouse and, if they don't respond with alacrity and do what is decent and stop pussyfooting and talking all kinds of nonsense, everybody saw and everybody know what had transpired.
Mm-hmm.
And they should now come forward and console the families and start negotiating to get these people the man a decent Christian burial.
Yeah.
That's what they should be doing. Yeah.
All right, there's more I want to play back here on the interview. Just want to say, guys, you're watching Right Along Live, and we're going deep to try to find answers for the family as to what transpired. It's important that we get all angles of it. And as I said earlier, we got a chance to speak to the RGPF, and we had this interview just a few moments ago, and we're playing it back for you. This is a second part of the interview. Listen in. Right. I mean, I guess it's just a question that's puzzling a lot of people's mind. And you would understand why it's puzzling people's mind.
Definitely. In fact, even today, I had a conversation. I visited myself and one of my officers visited the family, and there's a lot of questions and a lot of things came out, and is relevant questions. It's questions that, some of it when I heard it for the first time, it caused me to think a bit, to try to understand certain things, but I do know that the investigators are tasked with a huge responsibility, and I believe, Junior, that at the end of the investigation, the truth, what actually happened, will come out.
Right. is the captain or whoever was operating that vessel at the time, are they being investigated presently for wrongdoing?
Well, that will be part of must be part of the investigation. Because just as if you are driving, Junior, you're driving your car and you're meeting an accident, from the police perspective, we don't just see it as an accident. We have to take it as if there may have been a criminal, some criminal aspect to it as well. For example, maybe you might want to bang somebody. So you approach it from that front, and the information, the facts, the evidence that you gather would either prove what that.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Clouden.
Yes, let me ask him. I hope that this investigation extends to the captain and who was in charge of the Coast Guard, because he could be charged criminally. I mean, this is why the autopsy and everything, and this is why I emphasize they should have brought in independent investigators, because the truth and all this thing he's talking about. We want to know there has been a death as a result of a collision, and there's evidence of negligence and all that sort of thing. We want to know, and I'm not preempting anything, whether those on the Coast Guard are being investigated for possible criminal charges of manslaughter or murder. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just I wanted the wise is sufficient.
How far could this charges go? We're talking about the persons aboard the Coast Guards, the person, the captain. How far would it extend? Your investigation into criminalities.
Are you speaking to me or the?
No, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, Mr. Clouden. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's going to go a long way. You have that type of collision where there's evidence there was no lights and all this sort of thing on a state ship. You hear speculation that the lights weren't working and a whole heap of nonsense. You don't have your court. Anyhow, let me just not go down that road.
Yeah.
And you hear all these Buck Rogers excuses being made about the lights may not have been working, or this or that and the other, or the radar not working, or what have you. I am just saying, based on my knowledge of maritime activity and maritime law, that I hope this investigation they keep saying and talking about is designed in a criminal fashion, because there have been a death, and those who are culpable will be charged. That's all I say.
Right. We're going to go further into the interview. A lot more was said listening.
Be refute that sort of idea, a mindset. And that's why when you are investigating, you have to be very thorough. And it's, as I said yesterday in one of the interviews, it's like a puzzle. So every piece you get, you put it down. You put it down and you try to fit them together until it comes into a whole. And so
yeah. Go ahead. Finish your thought. Sorry.
Go ahead. G.
No, I was saying you spoke about investigate and the investigation, and which is fine. I think an investigation serious investigation need to be sought into what happened there. But the optics of it doesn't look good, right? Where you have police investigating their own. Are you comfortable? Or are you? I guess the community would like to project some kind of comfort level as they would get a thorough investigation when you have the police investigating the police.
Right, great. And I like that question, and I answer it the same way that I answered all the other media houses, because it's the truth. In investigation like this, it does not just rest with the police. So what happens is the police will carry out the investigation, marshal all the facts, and at the end of the investigation, that file will be submitted to the DPP, to the Commissioner of Police. Yes? In fact, if that file has reached the Attorney General, it will go there as well. So what will actually happen is that there will be when it goes to the DPP office or to the Attorney General, it goes to the DPP force anyway, they will carry out an investigation into the investigation that was carried out, if you understand what I mean. And so what they will do is, when they look at the file and all the statements and the evidence gathered, what will happen is they would look to see if what in law we call a prima facie case, if there is insufficient evidence to substantiate whatever what they're looking for. If in the minds of the DP office there is information missing, they will write to the commissioner, but send back the file, so that it means that investigation has to be carried out and to recover or to uncover the piece that is missing, until they are satisfied that a complete and proper investigation has been done and there's enough evidence either to charge, not to charge, but what they will do, they will give directive as to how you go forward after that. So
right. So, Mr. Clouden, I want you to jump in here because you're a lawyer, you're in court every single day. Is that the right process?
Well, some is right, some is speculative. Yes, they eventually, to determine charges, I think the procedure is after the police would have done their investigation in crime generally. I'm not speaking of this incident. I'm speaking of it in a general context. Then, of course, the file would be submitted to the commissioner of police, who would then submit it to the DPP. And sometimes the DPP would call in the investigators, and they would, they do their thing. And eventually, the person would be charged or not charged.
Right.
If there is sufficient evidence, it doesn't have to be a prima facie case. Our law speaks of sufficient evidence, both for committal of the preliminary inquiry and for the determination of the exercise of the DPP's discretion. If there is sufficient evidence to indict or to bring a case, then he would. That's my understanding of the law.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go on. There's some more clarification that I really need from you. There's a lot more to the interview. Let's listen, please, again.
I say it does not rest with the police. It rests with the Director of Public Prosecution / in some cases, the Attorney General coming in to give some input as well.
Right. There was an article that was posted, right? And the article went on something like this. I don't know if you saw it. It was on you today. He said that police inside said that... Oh, hold on. Mr. Clouden, you were saying something?
Yeah, what I was saying is the Attorney General doesn't enter into the criminal arena. That's reserved for the Director of Public Prosecution. He's constitutionally entitled to commence, stop, and with respect to prosecution. So, in instances like this, unless it's a foreign ship with respect to what has happened, the Attorney General would not be involved at all.
Okay.
It's simply a matter ultimately for the Director of Public Prosecution.
Okay. But in terms of putting together that document, the police would be the initial source of that document. So that document would be initially prepared by the police.
That is correct. Yes.
Right. So if they are
investigation.
Right. So if there are problems or insufficient information in that initial document, would the DPP go back and inquire?
Well,
or would the DPP even know that there's missing information?
Well, the DPP can always ask for further and better particulars. Normally, if he is dissatisfied or he thinks that a particular aspect was not properly investigated, he can redirect an investigation.
Right.
Of course he can.
Okay.
He has the final say when it comes to prosecution by indictment.
Okay. All right. I want to play back another piece of this.
Matters, maybe not.
I want you to listen to this part, because this part has to do with a response that you gave me earlier in regards to the paper, the article that was written. Check out the response from the RGPF, Mr. Richards, on that. Listen in. The law enforcement officials are suspicious about the activities of the men on the small boat. They said that, and I quote, "Why these two men should be in the boat? There is at this time at the night, The names, the location, and the address are consistent with something not smelling too good, a police insider said, end quote. What did the men on the boat, were they suspected of anything smelling not too good?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Junior, because I think that I read the article as well, and I thought it was very irresponsible. Whether this comes from an insider for the author itself, I thought it was very irresponsible, because even at this point, there is no evidence that we have found that, to me, a matter of fact, that suggests none of this about drugs and what have you. And there is evidence where the Coast Guard went on operation, attending to a matter on a yacht, and were returning to base when the collision took place. But nothing to say about suspicious drugs. There are fishermen fish all the time in the night. You have all kind of activities happening. Men fishing and people taking a little swimming in the night time. I have been in Granada at the night. The water is be warm and nice. But there's nothing to suggest what that article is saying at this point. The investigation is preliminary, yes, but there's nothing to suggest that what this article is saying. And I thought, when I read it too, I thought it was very irresponsible to state a thing like that when, in fact, the preliminary investigation evidence does not suggest that.
So Mr. Clouden, he agreed that the article was irresponsible.
Yes, man. Look, it's so sad, though, man. The pedestrian operations that take place in the Royal Grenada Police Force, man. Look. Let me tell you, it doesn't appear so on the face of it, but we're technically in a police state, and I suspect, you see, even it's pathetic. The quality of investigation, the cases that bring to court, and the way these cases are being disposed of. I mean, well, you see what they did to Bartholomew and all these guys. I mean, and who gets shot and people die at the hands of the police, and they always come up with some excuse, a notorious lie to cover themselves. It's been happening from time immemorial in Grenada. And this is very unfortunate. And we see what has happened and how police have brutalized people and lie their way through. I mean, look, let me tell you. These guys know they're responsible. All this investigation and all this nonsense, it's irrelevant. It's like the court said to pay people the pension, and you say you have to set up a committee to advise you how to pay. A lot of nonsense,
Yeah.
Grenada is under a very serious dictatorship. And the courts, you have certain police courts, you have certain people doing things, and this is why they could speak in the language they have spoken with respect to these two innocent boys. A former student of Presentation Boys College, another fellow, they come from Hog Island, they have their little boat, they go fishing, they try to make it, they're independent, they're not on how you call it, these programs, these political programs they have, they're not on those things. And police, or wherever they are, they're in the power, and especially if they wear a green jersey now and again, the power is magnified, amplified. So they just come out and them fellas go slow on them, and God know what they were doing because they were following a pleasure craft. It's a matter for them.
Yeah.
But Satan can correct sinner.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm calling on the government to get an independent investigation going. Forget about an internal investigation. We want an independent investigation. If they're investigating, because I haven't seen nothing to investigate.
Yeah.
Save and except to charge those who perpetrated this dastardly act and collided with innocent boys. They have to be charged. So if the investigation is to arrive at a point where these people will be criminally charged. I have no problem with that. I can tell you so.
Yeah.
But the way they're going about it leaves very much to be desired.
Yeah.
And they seem to be biased. And you hear police officers saying this, that, and the other. And they're not speaking the truth of what had occurred. So I'm concerned, to say the least. But I would fight every drop of blood in me to see that justice roll down like water.
Yes.
And righteousness like a mighty stream. Yes.
Yeah. All right. I want to play back the entire last portion of that interview. Very interesting last portion of the interview. I want you guys to take a listen and we'll comment on the other side. This is the last portion of this interview. Let's go back a little bit to the incident as it occurred. I had a conversation with the eyewitness, and he's saying that at the time that the incident happened, none of the officers aboard the Coast Guard attempted to rescue Bell, who was submerged under the water. He made note of it, and they did not. From the police perspective, from the report that was filed, what did the officers do once they realized that they came in contact with a small vessel?
Well, what I know from initially is that I don't know because I've not spoken to the investigators since then. But my initial information is that after the collision, they would have rescued the young man, took him to the carnage where the ambulance came to pick him up, and returned to the area where the incident took place, and carried as such, I think, up to, if my memory serves me well, up to midnight thereabout before the search was called out again. As I said, I've heard the young man as well, but we are waiting now. As the evidence gathered from the officers that was on the vessel themselves, and other things that will point to what actually happened to determine really what action was taken and why. But I'm not certain as to all that took place that particular around that time of the event.
When do you think that you will have more information as to what happened, and how long do you think that this investigation will prolong?
Well, it will be difficult for me to say how long it will prolong, because as I said before, it is not something you want to rush and then you miss some very, critical evidence that will really tell the true story.
Right.
But at the same time, I know that the officers are very robust. They are doing all in the part. In fact, the concentration now is heavily on putting the pieces together, so that at least both the family and persons who are concerned can have some answer in the soonest of time. But as I said again, I cannot say how long it will take. That is up to the investigators and how fast they can work, and how the pace at which the evidence can be gathered. In terms of the examination of the boats, the young man itself, his statement, the autopsy that will speak to the real cause of death. If there is any eyewitnesses, and whether or not who is willing to come forward and the time they're willing to come forward. So there's so much pieces that needs to be put together that let's be patient and see what happens.
Right. Okay. I really appreciate you taking the time to clarify some of these things here with me. Still, the question of the radar system or the light system not being engaged is still a big question that I know a lot of people still gonna have about this vessel right there. And also one of the things, after speaking to the father, Mr. Carlson George, yesterday, he said that he was only contacted with any kind of formality from the RGPF the day after. Is that the normal procedure of how a family that's grieving would be contacted by the RGPF?
No. The general procedure is that once you identify who the victim might be belonging to, mother, father, guardian, you contact them in the soonest possible time to let them know what has happened. I know the mother and those, and from that side was conducted. I'm not sure what would have been the delay in terms of having the father notified the day after. But generally, whenever incidents happen, we try to find out who are the next of kin, and as in the soonest possible time, even if when we does not have all the information yet, but just to let them know something happened, we would do that in the soonest possible time. That is something that is need to be done. I mean, put you and I put ourselves in that. Say we would want to know. I mean, as we say in our local Grenada here, early o'clock at the earliest possible time. You know, and of course, and that is the thing. Sometimes we cannot just see ourselves as, you know, just law enforcement. One of the things we are trained to do is to put ourselves in other person's shoe. And, you know, look at the other side. If we were on the other side, how you would have liked to be treated. And that's part of the training we try to instill in officers so that, you know, we are be able to, because again, we are working with the community. These are the taxpayers that we are the servants. And the best we can do to serve them and to serve them well is what we are paid for. And so that's why my department takes it very, very seriously in terms of when police has not walked the straight and narrow or follow a particular instruction, a procedure, a protocol. We investigate it and we call them in and deal with the matter. If that has to go to the commissioner and with recommendation, we do that as well, because we want to make sure that at the end of the day, yes, we are human beings, and yes, we are feeling too, but we have to understand what we are paid to do, and we have to do it well. And of course, we cannot be naive. In every sector, in every organization, in every company, even our own homes, you would not find everybody following the rules all the time. But, you know, we still have to do the best that we can to ensure that it is not the norm. It's just one or two that may not follow that particular rule. And as I said before, that's why my department has before we were only relations, community relations, dealing with the media and releases. Now we follow, we do internal investigation. So anybody, if you feel aggrieved, you feel an officer did not speak to you well or handle you well, you can come in, we do the investigation. And once we realize that there was some truth, recommendations are made to the commissioner as to what we believe must happen. And I can tell you this, I've never made a recommendation that the commissioner have not looked at and did something about it. And at the same time, when complaints are made and we realize the individual who made the complaint may misunderstand and not understand the procedure, we also speak to the officer, but we also help the person understand why that had to happen, the procedure that follows. You see? Because it is usually leaving people ignorant, because you'll always complain about something that you don't understand. So we try to educate as well. And we are hoping that, you know, it's a task, but we are hoping that, you know, before long, it becomes, you know, a kind of norm. So persons understand we can trust the police again. I mean, as I always say to people, if you look at crime, even in our own community, it's not the whole community that commits crime, and there's one or two persons. But and those persons stay in the community, they stay in your nation. In the same way, in your home, maybe one child that behaving naughty, but they stay in the family. And so sometimes you find that even in systems like ours, but we are doing all that we can to ensure that what we say, the bad apples are those who still need some training, they are trained. And so that at the end of the day, we can have better partnership, better working relationship with the community, because we can't do much without the community anyway. And you see, so hence the reason why we have taken that stance. The commissioner has taken that stance to ensure that everybody is on the same page and that we understand how best to deal with the public. And so one of the things we have introduced heavily in the police force is the whole aspect of community service as well. Customer service as well. because you want people to understand, even in hostile situations, how you as a police must be calm and civil and be able to handle the matter without escalating the problem. You see? So we are working really hard and that with our officers as well.
I guess it's a good way to prevent. And if we're talking about preventing and ensuring that things doesn't happen like that anymore, it's also good if you could put out information there to the general public, something that could have prevented something like this. Is it that the small vessel was supposed to be more equipped with brighter lights, or the small vessel supposed to have something that it didn't have so it could be identified properly? Or is it that the Coast Guard should have been running with lights or radar system engaged? What could be done to prevent another escalation, another situation like this from happening again?
And I'm glad you said that, because I think it was yesterday too, I made mention that one of the media houses, and I said to them, part of the investigation would reveal if there was any negligence, but it also informs us to what kind of systems and procedures and protocols that can be adapted in order to mitigate against circumstances like these from happening again. So the investigation is not just to see whether there was any negligence or any criminality or what has happened, but also to determine, as you already said, maybe if the radar system was broken down, or if the lights, they were the lights at night, or whatever lights at off. I know there were, I can't remember how long it is now, but I remember there were some programs informing fishermen as to when they go out, the various systems they may have in the nighttime, the life jacket, the lights, what type of lights, what type of GPS system. I know that has happened in the past. And so it would unfold both whether there are negligence on the Coast Guard part and on the vessel part, and what can be done to alleviate or to change that situation going forward. But for that to happen, we know something that should happen did not happen.
Right.
And that's what we want to.
That we know for a fact. Something
right.
that was
that is what we want to
did not happen. And it's good that we. All right. So there you had it, guys. The entire interview will be posted on Ride Along Live, so you guys could go over there and check it out. Right after the program, the full interview will be there. So, Mr. Clouden, you back with us? Mr. Clouden, are you there? All right, we lost Mr. Clouden, but this is your opportunity to chime in right now, guys. You heard all this information. You heard all this information thus far. You heard Mr. Clouden's response to what was said. What is your response now? This is your time to call in. This is your time. We're going to open up the phone lines for 15 minutes, guys. 15 minutes, because we have a program that is going to be coming up live at 8 p.m. And then we have another program following that program. So we're only going to open the phone lines for 15 minutes. We're taking your call live, 718-701-5720. Call us right now and tell us what's your reaction on what you heard today. First, from Mr. Richard from the RGPF, what's your thoughts on his response and what occurred, and just the whole story. Give us a call right now. Phone lines are open. You can call on the WhatsApp, or you could call directly on the phone lines. Again, the number 718-701-5720. A mouthful that was said here today. Let's put it all together. And I got a poster from the father today, and they will be having I believe a march that we're going to be posting shortly. Is some sort of protest that they'll be having. Justice for this young man, Bell. All right, guys, so what's your view? What's your view on it? 718-701-5720. What's your take? What's your opinion? How you feel? What's your feelings on what was said here today? Call us 718-701-5720. All right, caller, you live?
Good evening, Junior. Good evening to your listeners.
Yes.
And the bereaved family.
Yes.
My name is Kathy. And 23 years ago, an incident happened with my father in Perseverance. And tonight, listening to this incident with this young man, there's so much similarities. And up to today, there was no justice. And I just want to say, I hope this family get justice. Even when I heard the father said that the police officers in the drug squad came and told his son that they're going to do whatever they did the exact same thing with my mother. My father died. Nobody came to us up to today, 23 years later. Not an apology, nothing. And it still hurts. Honestly, it still hurts. And when I heard about this incident, everything came back to me. And it's really, really hard to look at a family go through what I went through. When my father died, he was taken to Lokwa. I was told that they was about to burn his body without even notifying us. I don't know what is true, what is not true. There was a police guarding my father's body when my mother went to Lokwa to identify him to know, well, what is going on, because nobody came, nobody said anything or anything. Up to today, 23 years later, nobody said anything.
Wow.
And listening to this family's story, it really hurts. It really, really hurts. It hurts deep. And there's something that I would like to say personally to this family, not over the air or anything, but there's something that I went through and I see them going down that same road. And I just would like to say something to them. I sent a message to the mother on Facebook. She and I are not friends on Facebook. So if she can go through her Facebook, I sent my number for her to call me, because I really want to see justice served for this young man. My son knows this young man. And from the time this thing happened, he has not been the same.
Wow. 23 years and yet no answers.
Yes, my father was Karen Bettel. He died from a police gunshot wound in Perseverance. A few weeks ago, my son was in the hospital and he said he met the policeman's mother, the policeman's sister. Apparently, she have a boot by the hospital. I'm not sure. And she was saying that her brother did not do it, but he was the one that took they blame him, and they sent him to St. Vincent, got him out of the island. I was told that he works with Keith Mitchell building in New York and whatever the case is. I don't know where he is now. I left all that in God's hands today, but it still hurts like hell.
Wow. Pain, even, and I know situations like these when you go ahead, caller, go ahead.
My family didn't get justice, but this family needs justice. That my children wasn't even alive when my father died, and they're hurting today because of it too. This family needs justice. The Royal Grenada Police Force needs to do better, and I don't think they should be investigating themselves. It makes no sense to me.
Right. Caller, thank you. I'll conversate with you more off air to get some more information on this, all right? But thank you for calling and sharing your story here with us.
Junior.
Appreciate you.
I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
No problem.
Good night.
Good night. Let's go back to the phone lines again. Caller, you live. Where are you calling us from? Hello?
Junior.
Yes, go right ahead.
A question you need to answer. How many crew members operate the Coast Guard? You must have a lookout. He's supposed to be the captain and a lookout guy. So you mean to say nobody did not looking out to see that is a vessel somewhere around?
Yeah.
That's a question somebody needs to answer. How many crew members operate the vessel? How many crew members on board? This is negligent.
Yeah. That's a question that we will follow up with. But thanks for your chiming in. All right, appreciate you.
All right.
We got another caller on the line. Caller, live. Where are you calling us from?
Hi, Junior. Good afternoon and good evening to all the listening panel. And let me first say my deepest condolences to the bereaved family. I have one question and one suggestion. The question is, we want to know if the people involved in this boat accident from the Coast Guard, are they suspended or are they still working? That's one. And two, I think that they should take the responsibility of paying for the entire funeral. Thank you, Junior.
Okay, thank you, caller. Thank you so much. 718-701-5720. Call us and voice your opinion. Let us know what you think about this incident. We got another caller on the line. Caller, go right ahead. You're live.
Hey, Junior.
Yes. Turn on your background.
Listen. Hey?
Turn on your background.
All right. My
I hear in the background.
Corporal, huh?
I hear in the background, so just turn it down.
You still okay? Sorry. All right. I'm a former corporal of police attached to the Coast Guard. Listen.
Good. Yes.
Now, one person brought up a good statement. There's supposed to be a coxswain and there's supposed to be a lookout.
Mm-hmm.
The other question is, the boat that get run over, was there any running lights on the boat? Now, the rules of the road says whenever you're on the sea, you have to have a port and a starboard light, which is green and red, so that you are visible, plus a white mast headlight. These small boats has no lights on it. Let's not place the blame until we know what transpired. Everybody is jumping on the police case. What did the boat have a running light? That is the first question and the major question that they have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And this is coming from a former corporal of police who was a coxswain on the Tyrrell Bay.
Right.
Which was a 106-footer. And I also used to run those small boats. So, everybody is blaming government, listening to government and the police. Don't blame government and the police until you have the facts. If the boat had running lights and the Coast Guard ran it down, it's a different story. If there is no running lights, it's difficult to see a small craft like that in the water.
Let me ask you a question. Because you have experience in these vessels, operating these vessels at high sea. Is it normal to have your radar system disengaged as well as running lights?
It depends on the patrol you're on. You would have your running lights disengaged, but your radar would be on.
Right.
Now, if that's a wooden vessel, the metal makeup of the engine would be minute on your radar until you're very close, according to the distance you're from.
Right.
Looking at the boat on the pictures that I saw on Ride Along.
Yes.
And with those rigid hulls, it may be difficult for the radar to identify that as a moving blip, as a boat.
I see.
Because it's a Raytheon radar that's on those rigid hull inflatables. All right. This boat is low down in the water with it. It's not to say that that rigid hull is high. The radar, there would have been deficiencies in the radar picking up that boat.
Okay.
And again, according to the operation these guys were on, yes, the running lights would be off until they identify a target and they're ready to approach it.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you, caller. We appreciate you.
All right.
Another caller on the WhatsApp. Call on the WhatsApp. Go right ahead.
Hi, good night, Junior.
Hi.
I'm calling in response to the last caller previously, right? He's speaking about lights on boats. He need to take a walk on the Carnet and see how many small vessels like these have lights. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Say it again. All right, the caller disconnect. All right, we're gonna take two more calls, guys. We're gonna take two more calls, but before we do, I gotta tell you this. We haven't run a commercial, but I gotta tell you this, that this program is brought to you with the kind compliments of this big event coming up, guys. May 13th is called Midnight Mass, the Ultra Glow Fete, featuring a whole cast of artists. I'm talking about from Grenada, first time in New York. Little Jello is going to be inside in New York for the very first time. We also have Looney Spark and Electrify Inspector, Dennis Belfon, Mr. Legs, and much, 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 much more. The show is brought to you by Ride Along Live, and it is my official birthday party. Guys, you can get your ticket at Eventbrite. Right now, it's called nightmass.eventbrite.com. That's nightmass.eventbrite.com. Tickets are available right now. All right. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Caller on the WhatsApp. Do I have someone on the WhatsApp? Caller, go right ahead on the WhatsApp. Okay. Call. Oh, I just disconnected the call on the WhatsApp. All right, so caller on the phone lines, go right ahead. Call on the phone lines, go right ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Junior.
Hi.
I just listened to the last caller, the
Coast Guard corporal.
Yes.
He is talking about lights on the small boats, okay? My question is, when they're going to run down them drug men, do they have lights on the boat to see them? And they don't see them? So what he's talking about, police will cover up for police. So I don't care what he say. How they don't find them drug men when they're running them down? The drug men doesn't have lights on the boat, so you better don't try to cover up the justice for Kim and Bell. Bye.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. All right, phone lines, 2 more calls. We take this one, caller on the WhatsApp. Go right ahead. Hold on. Sorry. Yeah, call on the WhatsApp. Go right ahead.
Junior.
Yes, sir.
Richie.
Hey, Richie, how you doing? Yes, good.
Not so bad. Okay. There is that I have to make, right? Number one, I need to find out what happened to the second Coast Guard, because do you remember yesterday when the gentleman was talking about he was sitting on his property and he could have seen one Coast Guard was going up and shortly after there was the next one, right?
Yes.
But do you observe that there was no mention about the second Coast Guard? Nobody never spoke about it.
Right.
Even the gentleman who you had the interview with never mentioned that. Yes. So my thing is this, right? If what they claim it was an accident, right? How come when the second Coast Guard come, they didn't say, "Hey, we just had an accident here and we need help"? Yeah. Why did the second Coast Guard leave so soon? Right?
Yes.
So this is what I'm trying to figure out. And me and you know how it is for you to like do something in a basically accident manner, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we know that we did something, okay, let's say you're in a function and you would basically mash someone, you would tell them sorry or bend down. Right. And even make the attempt to clean the shoe, right?
Right.
Because you're sorry about that. So my thing is this. If the men claim it was an accident, how come based on the remorse that they feel of doing something wrong, the natural nature of doing something wrong is to rectify it, is to fix it. So with you feeling sorry for what you've done, your first reaction would be able to want to jump in the water to save whosoever because you just caused an accident and you're trying to save that person.
Yes.
And if the young man was saying to them, right, my friend is in the water, right, and nobody jump out to even try and save him, even they keep the young man in the water for what? 10, 15 minutes before somebody basically help him. So all these people could say that this was basically an accident. This is not, this is not. All right, Junior.
All right. Thank you so much, caller. We appreciate you. We got a final call, guys. I promise you, because we got a program coming up at 8 o'clock. That's your final call. Caller, you're the final caller. Go right ahead.
Hello, good night.
Yeah, good night.
Good night, Junior. I have one question, right?
Yes.
To the police officer on the coast that spoke, the ex-police officer that spoke. Now, he had information on how small craft supposed to operate with a red starboard light and a green boat light, right? He also says that because of the small craft, that they cannot pick up the contours of the boats because it's a small craft. But almost 95% of drug busts that are made by the Grenadian Coast Guard are made by craft probably within 6 to 8 feet of the size of that small craft, with engines not much bigger. Very few have any metal but the engine. So how then does the Coast Guard pick up those craft from so far and be able to intercept them, probably miles away? Even with the Trinidadians that robbed the bank in Carriacou, they was able to run along the boat and find them wherever they were, right? How then couldn't you have noticed a similar small craft, probably smaller than the regular fishing boat, which would be 18, 19, 17 feet, right? But how could you not have picked up That small craft with a metal engine in the back, but you could pick up and intercept drug boats or drug runs. Don't make no sense to me. That is a question I want to answer, please.
Okay, yeah, all right. Point taken right there. Guys, we have to end it right here. We have a next program coming up at 8 p.m. and then we're going to be back again at about 8:30 for a reaction. So, listen, we are sending out our condolences to the family, right? All of these things here, it is so sad because the family have to keep reliving this whole thing. It's sad on both sides. It's sad on both sides, Jed. The family have to keep reliving this situation here. And the other funny thing is we have lawyers involved and most likely they'll file some kind of wrongful death suit and the state will have to pay. And the saddest thing about this, if it does happen that Clouden were successful in this lawsuit, two things: one, he wouldn't bring back the young man. Two is that the state will have to pay, and that sucks. That sucks if you ask me. That sucks. All right, guys. So listen, as I said, the entire interview with the Mr. Richards would be posted on the Ride Along page. You guys can go there and check it out. And continue to share this program. We'll be back again at 8:30 right here on Ride Along Live for reaction. Stay tuned at 8 p.m. We have a special programming lined up. Also, guys, I got to tell you before I go again that this program is brought to you by Midnight Mass, the Ultra Glow Fet. Everything must glow. Everything got to glow. Brooklyn, New York, Dennis Belfon, of course, Looney Spark and Electrify, Little Jello, Mr. Legs, Inspector. It's going to be an amazing, amazing night. Guys, wear white to glow. This is in New York, my official birthday party. Ride Along Live, Ultra Glow Fet, Everything Must Glow. It goes down at 178 Newport Street, Brooklyn, New York. Again, Dennis Belfon, Sassy Wow, Lil Jello in New York for the very first time. Lil Jello in New York for the very first time. Mr. Legs, Inspector, and much, 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 much more. Get your tickets, guys, if you're going to be in New York. I want everybody to come and celebrate my birthday party. All right? May 13th. Early bird tickets only $30. Early bird tickets $30. Everybody gets a glow stick and everybody will glow. Everybody. Everything is going to glow. Everything will glow. Right after the program, guys, I want you to go get your tickets. You could pick up your tickets right now at nightmass.eventbrite.com. That's nightmass.eventbrite.com. Early bird ticket will go up and more at the door. That's nightmass.eventbrite.com. Big up to Looney Spark and Electrify. They're going to be in New York for this. This is the official launch of it. This is the kickoff, This is the New York taste of Carnival. So whether you're going Carnival or you ain't going Carnival, this is your taste of Spice Mass. Night Mass. Yeah, Night Mass. Everything would glow. Ultra Glow Fet in New York City, 178 Newport, Brooklyn, New York. It's going to be amazing. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being a part of our program today. We urge you to check out the entire interview, the uncut entire interview with ASP Richard right here on Ride Along Live. Be safe, guys. Catch me again at 8 o'clock right here on the ride. Jacoby, run some ads.
On Sunday, May 8th, Mother's Day, New Face Promotion presents Retro Bingo. Retro Bingo, up to $5,000 in cash. 5 $200 games, 2 $500 games, 1 $1,000 game, and the jackpot $2,000. Retro Bingo going down at 178 Newport Street. Music by DJ Flawless, No Apology, and DJ Hot Stepper. Your tickets cost $40. More at the door. For more info, call 347-304-5453. Zelle or Cash App is accepted. Start time 7 p.m. It's Retro Bingo. Mother's Day, Sunday, May 8th. Lots of giveaways for the lady. Retro Bingo, up to $5,000 in cash. Sunday, May 8th, Mother's Day.
The wait is over. The time is now. The time is now. Get ready for mass. Get ready for mass. Get ready for mass. We are back.
Yeah. Again, guys, we're inviting you to my official birthday party, and that goes down on the 13th. Yeah, the 13th. Want to see everybody. There. All right. Midnight Mass, the official taste. Drop up the flyer there, Jacoby. The official. Yeah, put up the flyer. The official kickoff to Spice Mass. This is the official kickoff. That New York getting the taste. In New York for the very first time. Yeah, Lil Jello in New York for the first time. Very first time for our Dennis Belfon, Eli Gilbert the Inspector, Looney Spark and Electrify. Everything must glow. Everything must glow. Everything glowing. Get your tickets right now at nightmass.eventbrite.com. That's nightmass.eventbrite.com.
Williams Funeral Service serve you with dignity and compassion as you mourn. Every day, we embark on the journey of life, and one day, the journey will end. It's on that day that you can entrust the celebration of life of your loved ones to David Williams Funeral Service. Call 718-291-3823.
Well, it's on the right along, so it's happening here.
Came over here. What does it mean? You know, I grew up in what I guess you call a typical family.
We break all the stories, and that's just a fact. And that's why everyone has a story to tell.
Right along live, yeah, it's the real deal.
Right Along Live is also brought to you with the kind compliments of Buy Brand Caribbean. Yeah, Buy Brand Caribbean. Buy Caribbean, eat Caribbean. Organic products from the Caribbean. Yeah, get your spices, your sweet treat, your everything. Mace, candy, everything from Buy Brand Caribbean delivered to your home. Buy Brand Caribbean. Also, don't forget Midnight Mass. Yeah, Midnight Mass, the Ultra Glow Fed. Everything must glow. Everything must glow. Looney Spark and Electrify, Inspector, Mr. Legs, Sasiwa Dennis Belfon, and first time in New York, Lil Jello inside New York City for the very first time. Midnight Mass, Ultra Glow. Everything must glow. Everything must glow. See you guys later. Good night.